We are recording now. Okay. So, yeah, I just do a short introduction. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to our first webinar of the year. I can see some familiar faces and new ones, which is good because we want to keep growing. For the ones who don't know me, so I'm Arnold. I'm the general manager of the IPBN, which I've joined about 3 years ago. The IPBN is a network of about 150 individuals and businesses from Portugal and Ireland, looking at developing the trade in the two countries and more important, to create connection, new business opportunities for our members in a variety of sectors. We work very closely with both embassies here in Portugal and in Dublin, with the ESEP Portugal Global, which now have an office in Dublin, which helps, and Enterprise Ireland as well. We are partly funded by the Department of Trade, of Foreign Affairs and Trade of Ireland, but we rely very much on our membership. So I encourage the ones who are present today, but who are not yet a member, to join us. Just visit our website. You will find more about us and all the benefits of being a member. So may I now introduce you to Caroline, who is a member of the IPBN and a member of the committee in the Algarve, and the owner of a PR and event company. And I also would like to thank Andre already for his participation. Caroline put this event together today, and she will lead the conversation with Andre about a topic which is even more important and relevant today, as we are just about to go into another general lockdown, which is really what we didn't want for the start of 2021. But nevertheless, I wish you all a very happy and successful new year. So I'll let you, Caroline, take over. There will be times for questions at the end that you can ask directly to Caroline or Andre, or you can also, leave a message on the chat. We'll take your questions from there. So now what I'll do, Caroline, I'm going to spotlight your video and Andre. And then when we finish, we'll go back into a general view, okay?
Okay.
So let me do that. Spotlight. And now I have to find.
I should have worn makeup today.
Why?
Where's Andre now? I lost
First
Andre.
one. I'm on your left side.
Here we go. Here we go. Okay, there you go.
Okay, perfect. Well, listen, thank you all very much for signing up and for joining us today. Basically, obviously, in business, it's very, very hard to try and stay positive and obviously get through the nightmare that is hit us all financially very, very hard. My company is events and public relations. So for me, especially, everything has been cancelled and everything has just had a major, major impact on sporting, on corporate events, private events, anything and everything. So I, more than anybody, understand how tough last year has been. And obviously we're starting a new year, which we all thought was going to be positive. So I think mainly for this is to highlight there is help out there, there is support out there, but it's not commonly known. And obviously the government don't want to part with the money, but the money is there. So if we can all just take a benefit and get as much help as we can, then businesses will survive and they will grow. And hopefully by Easter time, things will change and we'll all see an increase rather than a decrease. So what I've done is I've got a very good colleague of mine, Andre Leman. He owns slam.pt. He's the CEO. Andre, if you would just like to give us a little introduction on yourself, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Andre some very direct questions, which he's going to be brutally honest. And if you want to take notes, take notes. Obviously, I'll send everybody the links, exactly the links of what you need to do after the webinar. If you have any questions, obviously hit the chat and let us know, or wait to the end. And the whole idea is to give you the honest facts of what is out there and how we can help. Andre.
Okay, hello, good morning to all. My name is Andre Leman. I'm Belgian. I've been in Portugal for over 30 years now. I arrived in '87 when I was a child. And I have kind of sucked in the really Portuguese culture, so to say. I did all my studies here. I did a postgrad in America in nonprofit management and came back to Portugal to work in a specific areas. Started in the nonprofits, went through to business. At the moment, I own 2 companies, a security company and Slam, a consulting and marketing company. Just to have, so you have an idea of my business, my focus was on human resources, security-wise or event-wise. So what's happened for me is the worst thing that can ever happen. You cannot have people. And that's been a problem, to be honest. So I had to rethink and reinvent myself. And to do so, I did turn to Portugal and to the culture we have here that unfortunately is something that some of us as foreigners don't always have access, that are the economic resources available through political connections and to social programs, social security and the Ministry of Economics. So just so you have an idea, my business went down 80% from 2019 to 2020. That was the drop I had. Why? Because the big pie of my business, as is Caroline, is in the summer. Why? Because we are based in the Algarve and everything happens here between April and October. So I really felt it. But the best way I thought I could do is not reinvent the wheel, but adjust, adapt, and create new synergies with other individuals, with other companies, and just try to make the best of it. It has been hard, but what I was able to find is, although Portugal is not giving us fast answers regarding money, regarding legislation, it is giving us some openings. And the problem is, because we rely in Portugal too much on our accountants, we weren't able to grab all the opportunities. I grabbed some of them and it helped my company through it. And I'm here to give you some lights about some of the opportunities that are available and some of the new rules and restrictions we're going to have now. I was hearing some of your comments to start with, and I did see that some of you are very optimistic. I do not believe this lockdown will be 2 weeks. Honestly, I was trying to get the deputy for the Algarve, our congressman, so to call, for the Algarve on this webinar today, but he had a session, so he couldn't do it. Because not even the politicians believe it's going to end in 15 days. We have been looking at minimal for a month or maybe more. The numbers are up to 14,000. This is the expectations of cases we're going to have today. And it's we're supposed to be having 150 deaths within the next week. Some of you will say, well, it's happening all over the world. The problem here is we had some of our Portuguese culture being to blamed for it. I'm not blaming the people that did their holidays, parties, Christmas, whatever, because I know some facts that will be shocking for some of you. I will give you the name of a town, I won't say which one it is, in which they were lacking 2 cases to go into the extreme level that would have them in immediate lockdown. The mayor of that town decided to stop all testing on the 21st of December. Otherwise, he would go in lockdown. He wasn't the only one to do it. Some councils, some cities in Portugal opted not to test people in the last week of December. And the growing of cases we're seeing now did not show up on the 1st of January. They showed up at the end of December, but for political reasons and even for, let's say, image reasons, were not shown last year. Otherwise, it would be in the statistics of 2020, and Portugal was kind of okay. At this point, Portugal is the 7th country in the world with more cases per 100,000 inhabitants. Our numbers are small, but our population is small, and that is what people really need to be looking at this point. Caroline?
Yeah, just before we start, I mean, there's a lot of people I know already, and I know what businesses you have, but maybe if you don't mind, just popping into the chat what actually your companies are, just so maybe we can focus at the end, is just to make sure that we cover everything for every type of company. I know, Harriet, you've had a really struggle this year, you know, based in, it's a home-based business. So I know, for example, you will benefit massively today because there's a lot of help out there that just nobody's bothered to tell anybody. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, if you can just all just pop what your company actually does, and then we can make sure we cover everything for you. First of all, we're going to start. Obviously, Andre's touched on it a little bit, but the actual impact of COVID, what is the actual realistic, bare truth of it, Andre?
Honestly, unemployment has been up from last year to this year 70%. That's 70. That's compared. That's not the total number, it's the growth between last year in 1919 unemployment and 1920. The biggest struggle for us is going to be regarding the financial balance, because what's happening now, Portugal depends on his total budget. The growth product of Portugal depends 8% of tourism. The problem is when they say 8%, they're just considering hotels, rental cars, and that kind of business. They don't include restaurants. They don't include the shops. But let's be honest, you've seen how people travel to Portugal. You go out for dinner. So there's no real number on how much money Portugal is losing at this point. But to be honest, I think this may be worse than the crisis we had in 2008, 2009, because I had a business at that time. I lost my business at that time. I was in the financial area. And what we're looking at now is we have nobody to blame. In the last crisis, we had the banks to blame. We had the greedy managers to blame. At this point, there's nobody to blame. And this becomes a problem because as a people, when we look at something, we want solutions. And solutions usually come with consequences for people that have caused this. Nobody has caused this. And there's nobody we can actually go to for help because everybody has the same problem and we have all around the world. At this point, I think we should be looking at a really rough next 2 years because Portugal is not strong enough as an economy to fight back. As you will see, I will give you some numbers regarding the money that's going to come into Portugal. It's going to flow. Some of this is given, but it all comes with strings attached. And it's really important for people to read every line of every money they accept. I'll just give you a small example. If you accept any money from the government to any of the programs available, you will not be able money.
So you'll not be able for what?
Yeah, we are losing a bit this connection. It's for yeah. Yeah, probably we'll have to come back.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, you're back. Yeah.
So sorry, Andre, say again. So if you accept money from the government, what?
Able to fire anybody from your company.
Okay.
Oh my God.
That's a good thing.
Okay. No, that this is a small. No, it is and it isn't. Okay. Because the biggest cost anybody has staff, social security cost. Okay. So if I'm accepting money, fire, that's good for the numbers for the government, but it can be these are massive, and to be able to manage their contracts is something very important that we will not be able to do because the government needs to control unemployment numbers.
Okay. Okay. So realistically, you're saying it's going to take about 2 years for the Portuguese economy to recover from COVID, which obviously affects every single business person that trades in Portugal.
Yes, and more than this, the way we're trading today will not be something we'll be trading in the future. I do believe that the future of our small economy depends on the relationships we had with other countries, okay? And this is very important. Why? Portugal imports much more than it will ever produce. So we are dependent of this. And the globalization issues that small countries like Portugal have and the protection we have from the EU can be conditioned. I will give you the best example I can have. Portuguese people don't want to buy in Chinese shops anymore because they need somebody to blame. Let's blame the Chinese. Chinese shops were the first ones to really suffer with this, with what happened with COVID. My question now is, one of the measures Portugal put out is buy locally, buy nationally, to know so Portuguese economy wouldn't lose so much. You know, they created the stamp. Faro had an initiative, and they would give you 10 euros worth of a credit if you bought 100 euros in local shops, so local economy wouldn't lose money. And that seems great, but it goes against everything that Portugal and Europe have been fighting for. That's a global economy for all of us. You know, if we keep buying from Spain, Spain will buy from Germany. Sooner or later, Germany will buy our wines, and this is how it works. If everybody goes back to looking inside of their countries to help each other at the country level, even efforts as the ones you have here of developing the relationship business-wise between Ireland and Portugal will be looked at as not a first choice, but something that is necessary, but not the first option. And I think Portugal should remind themselves that the money that we are getting now is not coming out of our pockets. It's coming off of the EU funding pockets. And this is very important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, for the actual legislation of Portugal, what compliances do companies have to make for 2021?
Okay, everybody that's related, and this is a very important one, is the Safe and Clean. I think the Safe and Clean was the best initiative Portugal had. It was a tourism initiative from the tourism board, and it's working really. It's easy. You have to comply with a couple of rules: the cleaning of the facilities every hour, the disinfectants, the plastics to keep all the distance between people, and just that gives some reinsurance to people that it's done. Hotels have it, rent-a-cars have it. If you try to rent out any car now, you'll have a Safe and Clean badge on the car. It looks small, but it's this small kind of reinsurances that will help people get confidence back in our products. You know?
It also tells people whenever they're booking facilities or booking or going into an establishment that it is COVID-free, effectively.
Let's be honest, it does say that, but I think it's...
Or as COVID-free as it can be.
Yes, let's be honest, it's marketing more than anything else, but I think it helps and it reinsures, because it's not the health authorities that are watching the Safe and Clean, it's the tourism authorities. Let's be honest, I have a master's degree in tourism, and I have never learned anything about health in tourism in my course, but it's a way to reinsure. It has no major cost, and I do think all companies should do it. I know of at least one real estate company here in the Algarve that is putting it on the houses they're showing, making sure that people that go to an open house or go visit a facility are sure that that house was clean between every visit. Well, it costs money to cost money, but it reinsures people. Because most of anybody that's in real estate now will tell you most of the visits are being done online now because people don't want to visit the house. But honestly, except for people with a lot of money, buying a house is one of the big decisions you make in your life.
Yeah. Any other regulations? What about the European regulations?
Okay, let's look at what has been said so far. And this oh my God, are you still listening to me? Because I keep getting this notice that the internet is not.
Yeah, it says your bandwidth is low. Yeah.
Yeah, it just goes up and down. Yeah. Okay, let's look at what's been said by the EU so far. Okay. Testing. The testing, each country is responsible for the testing and development of their own testing system. Portugal has a line available, a phone line, in which you can phone up, Saúde 2020, Saúde 24, I'm sorry, 2020 is the other one, in which you can just phone in and just ask them, you know, I have these symptoms, what should I do? I have tried the line, just to see how it worked. What they told me is, as long as you don't have any symptoms, don't worry about it. Then I tried to ringing back again a couple of days to see if they still have my answers, and they didn't. They asked for the whole thing again. And I said, yeah, but I've been in contact with a person with COVID. And they said I should stay home for 10 days and then be tested afterwards. So the protocol is really open. I think the best example we can have is one of the president that tested positive and negative in a 3-day range. And when I was asking for an official position from the health authorities about what he could do or not do, was not given one. So we really have to look in to see EU regulation, EU recommendations can be good, but it all goes down to the services that are available. And at this point, Portuguese hospitals and Portuguese health authorities are not able to give us a straight answer on the phone saying what you have to do. So it all goes down, and this is why I think the lockdown is important, to civil responsibility. We as employers and as business people must understand that the best investment we can do in our companies now is to keep a lockdown for 30 days, 45 days, whatever it takes. Because except for the golf industry, January and February, none of us was going to make that much money. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
if you need to get tested, what is the best way to go about it?
honestly, just pay €100, go to a private hospital and get tested. If you're in Lisbon, the best place to get tested would be in Estoril, just behind the casino. They have a big facility there, and the only thing they're doing is testing. And that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, there's one in the stadium in Algarve as well, though, isn't there?
Yeah, the Algarve Stadium. The testing is done in your car. That's, for me, is very good. But now I'm kind of doubtfully, because I've seen the facilities in the Algarve Stadium in the inside. I was able to access the inside of the place where the testing is actually done, because I'm tested there every Friday, because I'm related with football, and every Friday I get tested because of the football issues. And to be honest, they already had some contamination in some of the testing done. Why? Because the testing is done outside and then it's taken inside the stadium. You have a range of maybe half a kilometer that has to be done outside in plastic bags where they take your test inside. So it's the one we have, it's the one we should use, okay? But honestly, at this point, I do think there's not a lot we can do instead of, you know.
I just had a couple of comments here, actually, Michaela and Brian, thanks for that. The Family Medical Centre in Valdelobo apparently offers testing, and there's a test centre in Silves, which is good to know. I wasn't aware of them too.
That's good.
But there is an app, isn't it? Is it Stay Clean COVID or something? That if you register, it actually gives you the updates.
Okay, the app. Okay, Stay Clean COVID. There's a problem with the app. The moment you register on it, imagine I have been in contact with somebody with COVID, right? But I don't have COVID, but I've registered that on my app. Now it will tell anybody that has the app around me, or with whom I'm in contact with, that they have been exposed to COVID. What is the problem with this? It depends on people inputting the data. Okay, so we go back to civil responsibility. You know, if I don't do it, or if I forget to do it along the line, it all goes back to the same.
Yeah.
The app had a good idea behind it, but honestly, its efficiency was, again, you know, to be proved.
Yeah. So the legislation obviously changes. The state of emergency is in place, so obviously they can change the law at any time. Obviously, we've all just literally found out yesterday the new state of emergency laws. Basically, I think that law states as anybody that can stay home should be at home, can work from home. But as companies, if you, as a business owner, you actually are bound by law to provide all your employees with as much equipment and everything to work from home. Is that right?
Okay, this is the thing. That's the only part of this law that's really, really important. Working from home is mandatory. Okay, because what they say is, you know, staying home is a civil duty, but working from home is mandatory. Okay, so any business that can work from home is mandatory to stay from home. That means if you do not give your employee your employees the tools to work from home, and he does, he can go to the local authorities, in this case, ACT, that's the Court for Work Conditions, and say you have not done it. That would open yourself to law problems directly, because this would be going against the law. It's mandatory. If you have any kind of employee that is not dealing directly with the public, that can work from home, you have to give him conditions to work from home. Okay. And that is a problem because, you know, in Portugal, some people don't have an internet connection, or one as bad as mine, you know, so that really is a problem.
Yeah. Okay, so the more important question is, what help is available for businesses?
Okay, before we go to that, Caroline, I just wanted to go through, and I think this can be helpful to the new laws that will start tonight at midnight. Okay.
Okay.
So, staying home. Okay, you have a civil duty to stay home unless you need to go do something really important outside, like walking your dog, going to a hospital, going for groceries, and unless you really need to have a civil duty to stay home. Okay, mandatory teletrabalho, as they call it, teleworking. Mandatory for anybody that has a chance to work from home. But the responsibility does not fall on the employee, it falls on the employer. It's important, okay? Because maybe your employee says, I don't want to work from home. I have my kids running around screaming. If at some point there's a complaint, it goes on the employer and not on the employee, okay? Schools, nursings, and universities will be open, and will be, the classes will be still presential. Public services, that means anything you need to go to, social security, a local council, will be open, but you can only access it if you have pre-scheduled, if you have a booking, okay? Dentists, pharmacies, and hospitals and clinics will be open. Religion, they will be opened. Churches will be open for religious services in agreement with the rules. That means 50 people maximum, 2 meters distancing, use of mask, and disinfectants at the entrance. Trading will be closed except for authorized establishments. I will give you the list afterwards. Groceries and supermarkets will be open with a maximum of 5 people by 100 square meters. Restaurants, bars, coffee shops, all closed except for takeaway and home delivery, okay? Cultural events, all closed, no theaters, no museums, everything's locked down there. Sports, gyms, sport venues, all closed. Football is open for the national team and the first league only. So these matches are gonna keep on. Now the big question with sports is, it says that individual exercise outside is authorized. We're struggling with this. I don't know what this means. I don't know if it means you have to go outside by yourself, or if 2 people can each one ride their bikes, or they can go run 2 by 2. The rule says individual exercise outside. It's open to interpretation. The courts will be open, okay? But the rule states that anybody that can provide testimony as a witness from home should do it through a video call, okay? Okay, and then they have general rules that say we should limit the contacts with anybody in our family, just people that live with us. Okay, use masks, keep distance, wash your hands, and that's about it. Okay. Anyway, Caroline is going to give you this file at the end of the webinar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Money. Yes. What actually is available for businesses?
Okay. I just want to start. Let's start with self-employed. Okay. Self-employed people are available to apply for a grant and get some money on a monthly basis. I have to be honest. I know of 3 people that have done it, and they've gotten 300 euros each per month. Okay, that's the money they got. The minimum is 219 euros. They went all the way to 300. What was the problem? Most of the people that work self-employed don't always issue all the receipts in time. Sometimes they'll do it at the end of the year as one big receipt or something like that. And that's the problem, because they will look at the balance of the last months before COVID, and then they will compare it what happened during COVID. And if you have issued receipts during COVID that were related to business you've provided before COVID, that will be a problem, because you will not have a downsizing of your business that justifies you getting the grant. Okay.
Now, so just on that, okay, so let's just say you are a company director, or you're the director of your company, and you haven't been able to take a wage because of COVID. I actually know somebody, and they got the maximum, which is 1,900 euros per month. But as you say, it does depend on your receipts, and it does depend on what you declare, which is the same in the Irish government as well. It goes on your last tax return. So obviously the main important thing is that all your receipts and everything is in order, but you can apply for this monthly, can't you? So your receipts and everything can change from monthly.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's what they're looking at. You cannot be changing your receipts now.
No. They obviously be honest, but it does go on a month-to-month basis.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Because what will happen is, and this is the important thing, why are they helping? They could just give you a grant in money and say, stop issuing your receipts. But when you stop issuing your receipts, you stop paying for Social Security, you stop paying for taxes. So it's important they give you the grant in a way that you keep issuing the receipt from your company towards yourself.
Yeah.
This is the important part.
Now, on that, if you have less than 50 employees, or that you're a non-profit, you can actually defer your Social Security payments, can't you? Which is a help.
Okay, that was available for November. Today or tomorrow, we're going to know if they're going to do it again for January, February, and March. November they did it, and they did it in December again, but it's still not okay if they're probably going to do it again because it was a good measurement. The thing is, you're just pushing your debt.
Yes, but for people that have made no money,
can't afford it. Yeah.
It is a very good thing, you know. Then
Yeah,
you need that money in groceries. You need that money to pay your electricity. You don't have that money to send to the government right now.
Yeah, and I have to be honest, like even VAT was, you were able to defer the payments of the third trimester of VAT, but they still haven't approved that you can defer the one of the fourth trimester. That's going to be the one you have to pay now by 15th of February. Mm-hmm. That can also be something important, because VAT money should not be used, but I have small companies and I know sometimes use VAT money because we need to pay expenses, we need to pay salaries.
Yeah. If you're self-employed, can you not get an exemption of Social Security?
Yes, but the exemption, it's not an exemption, it goes on your billing. Every year, or usually it's done in September. I'm not in accounting, it's important you know this, I'm not in accounting, but usually when I was self-employed, it was always in September, you show your revenues and they will estimate your Social Security based on your revenues. If you had a loss of revenues during COVID, your Social Security will automatically go down. Okay.
I know that website is www.seg-social.pt. But I think a lot of people this year will be exempt on Social Security because they just haven't obviously earned enough money. And in self-employed, it obviously is different than being an employee, isn't it?
Yeah, they're actually, it's going to be really go down. I think they probably go into a range of paying 50 to 60 euros per month, which would be, you know, already something.
Which is a massive help. Now, if you're a Portuguese registered company, and if you had losses of more than, I think, 40%, they're entitled to non-refundable grants, isn't that right?
Yes, I've done it and I've received it. How does it work? It's really simple. The only thing here, this is great, you cannot apply yourself for the grant. It has to be your accountant. You cannot ask any other accountant to do it. It has to be your accountant, because he's the one that proves that all of your numbers that you're showing are real. It takes about 10 minutes. You will get a minimum of 7,500 euros, okay? And it can go up to 40,000 euros, depending on the business and the amount of money you've lost. Okay, this is a really easy one. It's done on a site called Balcão Portugal 2020. Okay, it's your accountant knows how to do it. The accountants are usually charging around 5% of the value you will get. This has been standard. Some accountants aren't charging anything for it because they just want you to have your money so you can pay them. Okay, but if they charge in the 5%. Well, I have a question here for Isabel. You can also use grant consulting to apply. Yeah, that's true. You can use grant consulting for apply it, but your certified accountant will have to sign for it. Okay. I used the grant consultant because it was faster. He did it, and my accountant then verified the number and signed for it because it had to be logged in with his password on the website. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, it's an easy enough process. I mean, and basically what you're saying is that if you've had, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm just looking at Harriet's question here, but it doesn't matter if you're a brand new company. If you've had 40% losses from this year to last year, you're still allowed.
Available, yeah, you're allowed. I have a question here from Tony Judge. I think it's, you get the money in about 30 days, you'll get 50%, and then in another 60 days, you'll get the other 50%. Okay.
Yeah, and it's non-refundable, which is a major thing. It's
and
you're entitled to that.
Okay, it has one catch. Okay, this nothing is, and that's why some people didn't apply directly in last year and gone up and started applying this year. It will go into your balance of your company as it was a revenue.
That's fine because nobody's made any money this year, so it's not actually going to be any difference.
Yes, it will make you pay. If you're not paying taxes, that's okay, because if you didn't make money, you won't pay taxes. Okay.
Exactly.
I have a question here from Harriet. We did not do a full year, but just a question for Harriet: is she self-employed or is she a company? I don't know if she. Oh, she's not able to answer.
Oh, no, I am. Hello. Yes. No, I'm. We are just a self-employed little company, just me and my husband, and we didn't have a full year of business, so we didn't have a tax return yet in order to prove any income.
Yeah, but you can still do a tax return, Harriet. So let's just say you opened in May. You could do May to December and do your tax return. So effectively you have one. So therefore, for example, for you, let's just say you started trading in May, then you compare this May to last May. And if you're down 40%, you're entitled to that grant.
Yeah, but you will only be able to do it after April, because
that's what I'm saying, like in May, do you know what I mean? Then you're entitled in May to apply for that grant and get it. Also, 40% down.
Yeah, she needs the money now. That's the question. She needs the money now.
But if you know 7.5 grand is coming,
no income.
Yeah, but if you know 7.5 grand is coming in May, that's better than.
It may not be coming, because once the money is spent, it's spent. Harriet, I'm going to give you, I'm going to tell you something. I shouldn't be telling you that. What you need to go now is put your both of yourselves on unemployment. Okay, keep trading. Okay, whatever you can.
I can't trade. I can't do anything.
If you can't trade, you should go straight on unemployment at this point, because unemployment rules are a little bit bended now because of the situation. So self-employed people are able to go on unemployment as long as, have you paid, it was your first year, so you didn't pay any social security, right?
No, we only moved here at the end of 2018 and we started our business February 2019.
2019, okay. Were you paying social security? Do you know that?
Yeah, but very small amount.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
In your first year of trading, you shouldn't pay any.
You shouldn't pay any, yeah. But she was already in her second year, because if they started trading in 2019, they did their first year in 2020.
Oh, yeah.
2021,
so therefore,
okay,
this is your second year, Harriet.
Well, I didn't do anything in 2020. We went into lockdown in February.
Doesn't matter. You're still entitled to that loan.
19.
Okay, what you should do, honestly, I'm going to say it. It is, nobody wants to hear that, but you should apply at this point straight ahead for unemployment. Straight. Which area do you reside in?
Lule.
Where are you? Oh, so you live in Lule. Lule Quartera or Lule Almondsill or Lule? Okay, Bully came. So I'm going to give you a hint. On Tuesday or Thursday, you just go down to the unemployment center in Quartera. Never has any queue, and you can leave all your paperwork there directly.
Never has any queues. Unfortunately, that's not always true. I had to go there recently, and there was a queue, and I had to wait 4 hours.
But in Quartera or Lule?
Quartera.
Okay. Well, 4 hours. I went there last Thursday, and I was the only one there, to be honest.
My son needed paperwork for his driving test.
Okay.
And the queue was crazy.
Oh no! I know what you're saying. You went to the yellow building, right? Where the one down near the beach. Was that one?
Yeah.
Where you went? No, the unemployment one is on the main avenue near Millennium, the bank, on the other side of the street. That's where you should be heading for unemployment issues. Okay.
But yeah, very valid point from Isabel there.
But you have to have an appointment now, right?
Yes, which makes it easier. But
very valid point. If your
Please,
company is
yeah.
treated since the 1st of January 2020, you're entitled to apply for that grant.
Apoiar, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just
I'm gonna
say,
put the-
can I just say though, being a foreign person in the Algarve, obviously you speak Portuguese, Andre. I'm sure
Yeah,
that
of
there are
course.
a few people here that do. I don't speak Portuguese. I try very hard to be polite in every way that I can, but I have to tell you that not speaking Portuguese in the Algarve sometimes can be treated quite badly. I'm not saying that it isn't treated badly in foreign countries all over the world when you don't speak the language of the foreign place that you're living in. However, I have been abused quite badly by doctors, nurses, you know, government bodies here. I think that if you don't speak the language, you are at a downfall. The sad part about that is that they encourage people to come and live here. And yet when you're needed help, the language barrier is a real dead end.
Yeah.
So going to a government body building like you've just suggested that I go to without someone that speaks Portuguese,
Yeah,
I'm at a loss.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
sorry.
Harriet, sorry,
Yeah.
I need just to move on, but I
Yeah.
can actually help you with that at the end. Don't
we'll
hang up
definitely
at
help
the end,
you.
Harriet, because we can actually help you with that and give you help with and suggestions. I'm going to put the actual website on, obviously, for everybody and send everybody the links to how you get the grant. But as I say, that grant is there. Minimum of 7,500 to every single business. Definitely do it, because it's money. You don't have to repay it. Yes, it does go in your tax return, but it is definitely valid to do. Now, the biggest question is, and I know would be one in my mind as well, if you have a debt to finances, or if you're on a tax scheme to pay your finances or Social Security or whatever, because you simply couldn't afford to in the first lockdown, obviously these grants, they say, are not available, but there is ways around that. Now, one of them I know is that if you take a bank loan, you don't pay it back for 18 months. Is that right?
Yeah, but that's the problem now. The bank loan will also have to verify if you have any debt, Social Security, and finances. It's kind of a scheme.
Or there is other investors out there.
Have an agreement, a settlement to pay your debt. It's not considered debt, okay, for loan purposes.
Okay, so if you're on a payment plan with finances, then you can still apply.
Yeah, that you can.
There you go. Okay. Now, the funding. Okay. What funding is available, and how do you obtain it?
Okay, let's go through the funding. Give me a second, because
I know there's EU funding, and there is obviously Portuguese government funding.
Okay, give me 1 second, and I'll just do it on my phone so I can see it at the same time. Then you, okay, just give me a second. The important thing, they had Apoiar. That was a really good one, but the money went away too fast. It has already been approved more money, but still not open. What was Apoiar? This is really what I love that one. And small companies could apply up to 5,000 euros to adapt their working space to COVID, and they only had to give back 20% of that money. Okay. And it's not even giving back. In a 5,000 euros project, they would give you 80%. Okay, that was a really good one. Too bad, the money was finished in maybe 3 days. It were 5 million euros available, and it was gone. They're going to open another 5 million. As soon as it's open, everybody should apply, because basically any cleaning services, any distance working. Imagine you have an employee at your office, you want him to work from home. You could be able to put his internet connection and his computer on that grant, okay? Other things like gloves, disinfectants, everything could go through that money. That's really important, okay? So just answering your question, the estimated fall down in Portuguese economy for 2020 was 17.3 thousand million euros. That's what the economy is supposed to be suffering this year. But going to money, that what goes out. Okay.
Now, there is it. I think is it, and I'll put these links on after, but is a www.balcao.portugal 2020. I think if you register there, do they actually you can sign up for emails, so they will alert you for any grants that come out, and then obviously you can apply.
Yeah, not really that simple, but yeah, that should be the thing. I have to be honest, it all goes down to you having a good accountant that will keep on advising you on which one to close. Okay, that is the important message there from Isabel, also to remind people that APR has a cutoff as 29 January, okay? So people need to apply in the next 2 weeks, okay? Because it's going to be a spike there. Okay, but anyway, Apoyar, that's the program we're talking about, have 750 million euros available for companies, non-refundable, okay? All of us here, I think, have companies that have under 50 employees. I don't think if there's anybody else that has huge companies. So the money you're looking at is 7,500 euros to 40,000 euros, depending on your losses, okay? There's one I do like. It's the one for jobs. Ativar.pt, it's called Ativar. In this one, you can use money grants for training of your employees or yourself, okay? Harriet, this would be a case in which you could hire a Portuguese-speaking person to work with you, okay? I usually use a grant called Estágios Profissionais. The translation in English would be professional internship. Some companies, even the case of Tony that trades in Lisbon and in Faro, he should be using it. Basically, the government will pay up to 65% of a salary of an employee if you give him an employment for 9 months, okay? They will help you 65% of the salary. That means an employee that would have a cost of maybe 1,000 euros will cost you something like 400 euros per month, okay? And you have a full-time employer. I know it's not your case, Harriet.
I don't have a job for someone.
I know, Harriet, I know. And we will help you at the end of this. We will help you. Yeah. Don't worry, we will help you. But I'm talking here in the bigger companies. This is one I usually use. Why? You always get fresh blood. You always get people that are motivated and that have training to work. Okay. The thing, you can have up to 4 interns per year. Okay, depending on the size of your company. Okay, or not, or even if you're self-employed, you can have an intern. It's important. It's not only for companies. You can have up to 4 per year. Okay, and at the end, the hiring of that person is up to you. If you cannot afford the hiring, you do not hire the person, okay? It does help, and it gives you, at this point, you know, resources when, honestly, you're gonna need resources for what's coming next, okay?
I think a good example of that is, for example, if a company and they need a marketing or PR or stuff like that, which they can't afford to do when they're trying to do it themselves, then that's perfect because they're getting the help and the benefit, and it's not costing them money.
Yeah, it costs some money. Let's be honest, it costs some money. But the cost is, what I do usually when I get an intern, I will, because of the kind of trade I have, I will locate part of his job to one of my clients. Okay, so imagine I wanted somebody to take care just of my website, my social media. You get maybe somebody just out of university, 22 years old. And what I will then try to do, this is me personally, I will try to get one of my clients to need this service, and I would charge the client for that, and that will pay for the other 40% that's not being paid off by the Portuguese government. Okay, I try to get the person almost for free. This is the important thing here. Okay.
Yeah, but it's very important for companies that do need that help, and obviously to grow their brand and keep trading, that obviously it is there. Yeah. Anything else, the funding that's available?
Okay, if we look at this, you have Apoiar. Adaptar is closed, we're waiting for it to reopen, okay? The Estágios Profissionais, that is the professional internship, okay? And let's see what comes out tonight. Tonight or tomorrow, we're gonna have new rules about paying rent and about layoff. It should be coming out tonight or tomorrow, the latest, okay? Basically, they're gonna give us new rules on layoff. That will be able, the idea is for us only to pay for 19% of the costs of an employee, okay? If you put him through the layoff process. Hopefully it will going to come out today, the new rules, or tomorrow. The rent situation, the money from the EU already came to help business pay their rents. The idea is for businesses that had losses over 40% to receive money for their rents, okay? The other measurement I think will be important also for us is pushing the payment of VAT and Social Security. Let's see what they say about that, but this really is really important, because if you're able to defer your payment, it doesn't come in as a debt, okay? You're just not paying for it at the moment, okay? It's very important that these strategies at least help you. To be honest, VAT, if you're not trading, VAT payment is not really the biggest problem. Social Security will then be your biggest problem, okay?
No, so yeah, so the rent allowance I think is a big one, because obviously people still want to keep their businesses open or be seen to keep the businesses open. So basically just to clarify that, if you had a loss of 40% from this year to last year, then your rent, you get a rent allowance. Do you know how much that is?
No, that's the thing, so the rules will only come out, but the big problem here is the government in the last lockdown, what they said was, there's this new law and you're not obliged to pay your rent, and you can pay it over 12 months. And that was wrong, because like myself, if I own a place and it's rented out, why should I be, why should I have the problem? I'm still renting out my space. So the landlords did quite a pressure on the government. And the idea here now is that money should go into the companies, so they were able to pay their rents. The rules on that are being discussed. They probably come out sometimes this week, hopefully tomorrow. Okay.
Okay. And just to clarify as well, if a company profits fall 20% in the next 9 months, you can obviously apply for that grant as well, which is up to 40,000 euros.
Yeah, that's one. Because what's the problem here is some companies, although they made the same amount, didn't have the loss from one year to the other, just started suffering their losses in March when the first lockdown happened. That's why they're considering the 9 months, because that's when the first lockdown happened.
Okay. And the layoff side, obviously these laws may change today, but the layoff side is, I mean, if you need to lay off a member of staff for 2 weeks or a month, because obviously we're in lockdown and obviously there's no work, you can put them in layoff and then just reinstate them.
Yeah, the idea is always reinstatement, because if you don't reinstatement, the government wants their money back from the layoff.
Yeah, but let's just say, for example, you're in a business and for the next month you don't have any work for your employee. They can go on unemployment and then come back to you.
No, they go on layoff, not unemployment. That's
layoff,
the thing.
sorry.
You will still have to issue their slip, their receipt slip, right? But you should be able to get 81% of your money of that. The problem is the new rules will only come out today, because I have to be honest, if you look today at the rules or tomorrow that come out and they tell you that it's going to be available for 6 months, then you know we're going to have a really rough 6 months. If they say it's only available for the next 3 months, that means they're positive, and I think the lockdown is not going to last that much, and the economy can boost back up by Easter. That's one of the numbers everybody should be looking at today, is how long are the rules for layoff going to last, the new rules they put out today. If they're giving...
But basically then, for example, sounds awful, but if you have employees, you can literally put them in layoff tomorrow and claim 81% back.
It's the best thing to do for everybody, because let's be honest, some of us, our jobs are not able to be done from home, but the government will not allow our businesses to be open. So, you know, it has to be a way around this. The big issue here is, I don't think Portugal has that amount of money, because some of it comes from the EU, but social security values and things like that, this is all a strategy, because it's easier for the Portugal government to take money from the EU, give it to you, so you pay your salary and your social security, than for that person to go on unemployment, and unemployment is paid by the social security in Portugal. Okay, so we keep the jobs, that's great for Europe, and we don't use Portuguese social security money that we need for unemployment, that we need for retirement fees, things like that, into this problem of COVID.
Yeah. Okay, just to do a quick overview. So for every single company that is registered in Portugal, there is a grant out there. If you've had a loss of more than 20%, you have a grant opportunity up to 40,000 euros to apply for. And I would honestly say to everybody, get on that straight away. You don't necessarily need an accountant to do it. I've done it for somebody, and if I can do it, trust me, anybody can do it. You do, if you're self-employed, you have per month, you're entitled to a monthly payment. Obviously that depends on what your previous tax return or your previous month's salaries were, but that's up to 1,905 euros per month. You can have a simplified layoff between January and March so far, which you get 81% back off the salary of what you would normally pay, and you don't pay the Social Security. You do have the opportunity to employ internship, which obviously then they pay 65% of the wages, which obviously gives your business a chance to grow and keep trading at little to expense to you. You can, as a self-employed person, you can push forward your VAT and your Social Security. So if you are struggling at the minute, it's a deferment. Okay, yes, you still have to pay it, but it's a deferment which some people could really probably welcome. And as regards companies, obviously the legislation that is there, obviously keep checking, and obviously I'll put all the links up for you, but just to make sure that you're all compliant, because that does affect whenever you do apply for grants and things like that, you have to be compliant. Anything else I've missed, Andre?
No, the only thing that's really important is people should look tomorrow at what comes out, because layoff rules, VAT, Social Security is all being discussed today, and we should have new rules tomorrow. I do always remind yourself, if you're paying for an accountant, push your accountant, use it.
Well, exactly.
Okay, Tony Judge is asking where the rules will be. The rules should be available on the Balcão 2020, okay? But as soon as the link comes out, I will email it to Caroline, that will forward it to all of you also, okay?
I mean, the rules, everything that we're discussing at the moment is what we've been told is from up until March this year. Obviously, if that changes today, obviously we'll let you know, but and anything that we're talking about today, we've been told is available until March. So it's important that you sort of act on it quicker rather than, now more than later. Now, another thing, Andre, I just want to maybe put you in a little bit on the spot. Portuguese, obviously, people are not born Portuguese or have companies that are not, obviously, as an expats. There's a lot of funding available, and there's a lot of opportunities to tender for council work, and obviously, like for example, the new stadium that's been built in Amundsen. There's a lot of things out there, but how do people actually apply for that, or where do they get the information for that? Because at the minute it's only Portuguese companies or people that know in the council that seem to get these tenders.
Well, that's the thing. To start up, Portugal has a system that was designed to avoid corruption, in which, let's see if I can translate this, we call them platforms for public bidding, okay? So any registered Portuguese company can go on them and apply. But what seems to be the problem, I know this because I'm foreign and I had this problem, to register, you need a Portuguese ID card, because they have like the system when you put the chip in, and I have a Belgium ID card, mine doesn't work on that system. So I had to find somebody, I had to get a lawyer to do all these things for me. So any Portuguese-based company can bid on it. If it's an international contest, then foreign companies can bid on it also, okay? What usually happens if a foreign company wants to bid on something and it's not an international contest, what they will do is get a Portuguese company to do the bid on it and then do the work for them. The big problem we have here, it all goes on in who you know, because I know I have to bid for some councils. I've done it in Lisbon, in Cascais, in whatever. And most of the cases, they already know who they're going to give the job to. And that's the problem we have with the Portuguese culture. I'm not saying it's that. Corruption seems to be a normal thing. It's not something that will shock Portuguese people, I had one time a councilman saying, oh no, we're going to have a bid for the security of the stadium. Andre, I need you to give the price of €7.49. And I said, why €7.49? He said, come on, don't be stupid. Your competitor is giving €7.50. Okay. The problem is, I don't live well with it, but this is the way some of deals are done in Portugal. And the problem is, Portuguese will deal with it. I've learned to deal with it, unfortunately. And then we'll say, but why aren't foreign people being more active about it? And I will tell you why. Because we do not vote. None of us here usually votes. Like I'll take the case of Harriet. You're Irish, right?
No,
Okay.
English.
No? English. Oh, okay. So you know in English. If you're Irish and you were living in Portugal, right, you would be able to vote, even if you're living here for a month. You just need to go register and you're able to vote. Any person that has an EU nationality is able to vote in Portugal for local government only. And this is where the business is done, because let's be honest, small business, big business, councils, they buy real estate, they use financial consultancy, they organize golfing tournaments, they do sporting events, and they need to use local companies. They will use Portuguese companies. Why? Because there's a personal relationship. And if I have a company with 30 employees and my 30 employees will vote for that councilman will give me the bid. The problem with, unless you're with the local councils and the foreign community, is they do not have a real weight, because they only have an economic weight and not an electoral weight. And I think this is one of the points we as foreigners in Portugal should change, you know, because I will get a meeting, any of you will probably get a meeting with your councilman, but at the end of the day, he knows you don't vote, you know, and that does make a difference. And you should all vote, except for those that are not in the EU anymore, like the case of Harriet, would not be able to do it. But you should vote as a resident, and you should be able to know, to put them on the spot regarding these situations, the COVID situations, the help situation, you know, you should be able to put them on the spot, and the only way to do it is really to vote.
Yeah. Now, saying that, is there any other relevant information you think is beneficial to the companies for 2021?
Okay, this is the most important thing, and this is going to sound like, you know, I'm just blathering philosophically, but reinventing ourselves is one way to do it, or just holding on, not spending any money is another way to do it. I have two companies, and we had different strategies for both of them. One of them, we just said, no expenses, let's wait, okay? You have 2 or 3 clients, we're working, you won't do anything, no point advertising, no point spending money. That worked for the security company. We had a couple of clients and we held this. The other company, Slam, we adjusted ourselves. We went to look for new partners. And the best example I had, we now just closed the business with the International Clinic of the Algarve. They own the hospitals in Vila Moura, Almancil, Lule, Olhão. And they had this new app because of COVID, and the app was paid through the COVID money. That's interesting. They have this new app for people to book online without having to actually go there, because everybody wants to book a doctor. They would go into the clinic or they would phone, and they just wanted to make the process faster and keep people out of the hospital until the day they actually needed to be there. So what I said is, okay, this will only work if people know about it. So I got them a staff of people outside their hospitals to explain the app to everybody that wanted to come into the hospital as mandatory. Usually we wouldn't do that kind of work because we're not a health-oriented company, but that's where the money is at this point, is in health and is in COVID, okay? If I had a real estate company, I would be talking definitely about house-free, COVID-free housing, distancing area, proximity of hospitals, things like that didn't used to matter that much to people, and now will start to matter. If you're located, if the house you're located is located in a COVID-free area, low intensity of people with COVID, all these numbers start to be interesting. So what I think is we can use either avoid COVID, and I did it with one of my companies, I just lay low, or don't waste a good crisis. We have a COVID crisis going on here. You know, just to have an idea, I just did a project for a local council when I'm waiting for approval. I invented this thing called Stay Home COVID, where people will get personal training at home, elderly people. That's going to be government funded. I had a lot of free time, and I thought, you know, I should make money out of COVID because I'm losing money with COVID. So I should find a way to make money with COVID. And that's what I think the two approaches are possible. either stay home and grab the money you have and cut your expenses, and I've done it, or you use the crisis and try to make some money out of it.
Yeah. And I think mainly, I mean, a lot of people, if you push your expenses to 2022, okay, it's not a solution, but it does, as you say, give you an opportunity to make money out of the crisis, take advantage of all the funding and the grants that are available. and as I say, the internships and everything, and just go for it. You know, it's, I know Harriet made a comment there about Brexit, but to be honest, I mean, like, my personal opinion is it's irrelevant. Everybody voted for Brexit, so you're stuck with it. It's hell for me because I'm Irish, and the trade borders even from Northern Ireland to UK, and then obviously to Southern Ireland. It's you know, it's just one of them things we have to deal with. The COVID is something that is beyond our control, but as Andre's rightfully said, you either make it or you break it. So either lock down and just sort of try to get on with it, or try to change your business and use the opportunities that are available from the government and the EU to actually do something different and grow your business. But I think mainly the key is just survival, isn't it?
Okay, I have two things that are just here interesting. One of them, as I said, I'm available to work. I've seen my CV. Harriet, this is something important. If you were unemployed and a company was to hire you now, they would have a break on Social Security. They wouldn't pay for your Social Security. That was one of the measures of COVID you didn't talk about. If you hire somebody that's unemployed now, you will not have to cover their Social Security. Government will pay for their Social Security. Okay, so because you're self-employed, if somebody hires you now, they would have to pay for your Social Security. If you are unemployed, you get a Social Security break. Social Security on minimum wage in Portugal is 34.75%. That's about 230 euros. In 6 months, if somebody hired an unemployed person, they would save 1,200 euros. Okay, Isabel is saying that during our debate, the new ruling on, there's an update on COVID new ruling. That's good. Okay, I don't know if she wants to share it or not, Isabel. I don't know. She's there. Isabel? I don't think she's listening to us, yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, she just done it, yeah.
Oh my God. Ooh. Yeah, 1,000 more than yesterday, 600 more than the day before. We are also showing the West. Okay. Well, these numbers are probably going up. The expectation is next week we're going to have 14,000 people per day with COVID, looking up to 150 cases of death every day. So that is at least challenging. I lost one of the messages before, sorry. Wait, okay. Okay, from Brian, okay. I will need to connect Brian. Okay, definitely Brian, don't worry, we'll definitely talk at the end of this. I'm open to any questions. I don't know if anybody else wants to, I don't know if you want to open the forum to discussion.
Yeah, okay, maybe we should open it. I'm going to spotlight you. Okay, so if anybody else have any questions?
I've got a question here. Is there any funding or grants available to somebody who's looking to form a limitada this year?
Okay, I have one of my companies open this year. Last year, you mean 2020?
No, I currently don't have a limitada status, and I'm looking to open a limitada in 2021, and I'm wondering if there's any funding or grants available to encourage new business generation.
There is. My question is, in which area will the business be?
Well, this is difficult at the moment, but technically I think it's going to end up falling under real estate. Okay,
there's one trick this is a little bit dodgy here, because real estate laws say you can only have one, what we call CAI, that's company code, and you can only be, if you're a real estate agent, you can only be a real estate. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would say put as many codes as you can. Put yourself as a health consultant, put yourself as cleaning services, put yourself as why? Because grants will be opening for all of these different kind of companies, and then you would be able to apply to all the grants. Just so you have an idea, I had a consultant company, and when COVID started, the first thing I went to register was a cleaning company. You know why? Because you get funding, companies got funding to do cleaning. So I was able to provide the service and use the COVID money for them. So because it's real estate, You can only be a real estater. That's the only
And
thing.
I'm a certified coach, and what I actually do is I coach, but I coach in real estate. But part of that, I do actually want to get my AMI license, which is why it's probably going to have to be under the function of real estate. But I'm a coach, and that's what the bulk of my business now is coaching, not transactional, not mediation.
Okay. So yes, there's what you should then, one of the companies you should open then is a coaching center. Why? You need, let me just say, what kind of coaching are you thinking? General training or coaching one-on-one? What are you looking at here?
I'm actually exploring both, because I'm actually looking at doing the DJAT as well, so that I can provide the formal training under the law. But I'm a coach, so I coach one-on-one. I also do group programs online, and I work internationally. I don't just coach in Portugal.
That's great. That's great. The DJAT one is an important one. Why? Because there will be more funding there. Because what happened? Unemployment rates are going to go up, and the only way to take people off of unemployment is, one, you give them a job. Two, you put them in training programs. And last time you had a crisis, what I did, I opened a training company straight after the crisis in 2009, because there was money available, 100% paid on all the training was funded. They even paid for the laptops in the room. That's how, because that's the kind of money that always comes in. So I would, if you open a training company, I will look into it and I will give you the details. I'm almost sure that you will be able to get funding for the opening of your company.
Okay. That would be good. I'll reach out to you after this and maybe we can talk then.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll put my camera on so you can see me.
Yeah, no, we don't see you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you, cannot see you.
Hello.
Okay, it's okay.
So I recently saw that in Portugal, we're supposed to, if you've got employees, your employees are entitled to 40 hours a year of training, like it's by law.
Yeah.
Is that still in place now? Because I read that if your contract is terminated and your 40 hours or however many hours you've still got left have not been fulfilled, then your employer is, you're entitled to compensation for that training. So they have to pay for any training that you choose to do.
Yeah, you should pay for training. What you usually do is, this is a simple thing, I've done it. You find out what's going to be the free training in your residence area, and you book it for your employee. And when the government will ask you, why didn't he do it while he was working? You say, because of COVID, there was no training. So you don't pay him, and you send him to go.
From my point of view, I'm offering the training. So I want to find out if that's still the case, because it was something like, if it's Corona times, then they can say that they deferred the training.
They defer the training, yes.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
it.
I can understand, McKeown. By law, it still has to happen, but a bit like anything else, they can defer it. But that means that next year or later this year, it'll be 80 hours instead of 40.
Okay.
So for you, it's actually a benefit. You'll be busier.
That's great. Yeah,
you'll be busier,
exactly.
but by law, they have to actually continue. But it has to. It's written in the Constitution of Portugal. They just can't amend that, but they can defer it.
Defer it,
Okay.
yeah. I have to be honest. Even before COVID, you were able to defer it. Just one question, McKeown. Is your training certified by DJAT, like the case of Kelly?
Obviously, I do like personal branding training, so it is certified. Like I've done a course to give the training.
Okay, you have the course from Professional. Okay,
Yes, and I mean, I offer it to real estate agencies that are looking to improve their employees' personal branding, which in turn helps the whole business. And then I offer it to small business owners. So I think it's really important now in this time where people are really struggling to find work, to make sure that their personal brand is really strong. So
can I ask you something? Are you doing this in the Lisbon area, Algarve area? Where
Algarve area in Almond. Yeah.
Almond Hill. Okay,
Yeah.
that's right. I definitely have some clients to push your way then.
Perfect. Thank you.
I think every company, regardless whether you have one employee, you've got 10 employees, it's law. So there's a lot of business out there for you. Do you know what I mean?
And like especially now with contracts being terminated, if they're entitled to training.
And I know this for a fact from a client, an old client I had. If you do not fulfill that 40 hours, then you have to pay them.
Okay.
To go and get their own training. So it is mandatory.
For me.
It is mandatory.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
One thing you could possibly do is whenever people are maybe on layoffs, is offer the training to them then, so they're not actually taken away from the time that they're working.
That's it, exactly. And it's the perfect time because when they go back, it'll help their business. And if they don't go back, then they're better off finding a new job or starting their own business.
True.
That's practical.
Yeah.
Find a new job, yes.
Okay.
They take a positive out of a negative.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I just have one point. First thing, Carolyn, Andre, thank you very much for that session. I think that was very eye-opening. Yeah, but also the kind of thought in my mind was that there's one thing about kind of state grants and all that kind of stuff that people might be entitled to. I'm also thinking that there's probably a number of us down here in the Algarve who I'm not an accountant, for instance, so I don't know about all these different things, but who could be helpful to other businesses in terms of innovating, marketing. There's a whole bunch of skills I'm sure that between us all exist around the place. So if maybe it's an idea to kind of get some heads together to see how we could how do you say, provide some kind of voluntary service to the membership down here.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll give you an example. Obviously, my company is obviously Irish based rather than Portuguese based. And I know that the only grant there, or the only help and support that was given by the Northern Irish government was based on your tax return. And they make up the figure and they decide what you're getting, which I think is the biggest opposite to Portugal, because I'm sorry, if I was a Portuguese business, I'd be applying for 40 grand, which I don't have to repay. I'd be deferring my taxes to be, so I think Portugal does offer a lot, but I think the main reason I wanted to have this today is because it just nobody knows and nobody knows how to access it. So I think you're right, Brian, get some heads together and, let's see who needs the help and how we can help them. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
No, I'm just saying, my background is marketing. And so when I came here to Portugal to start a new business, marketing is fine if you've got something to market. If you don't have something to market, then you're buggered. Excuse my French, but it's true. My business is buggered. I can help someone else market their business, but I need money. So voluntary work is lovely, but I need an income to get my child to school.
Yeah, Harriet, the only thing I'd say to you is that, we've been going on with this COVID business now for nearly a year. It's probably going to go on for a lot longer. And I remember actually having a conversation with Aoife Healy, must be, oh my God, 6-9 months ago. Yeah. And the one thing she will tell you, and I completely agree, that the one thing that you have to do at times like this is innovate. Yeah. So you make a correct point, Harriet. Yeah. But just because one avenue is closed doesn't mean there's not other avenues there. Yeah. And that's that's a difficult part.
I'm working online in the UK.
Yeah.
I've been working online in the UK, but the thing is that I think that some people have become very complacent about the virus. I've been working for the LGBT community in the UK as an endorsement. So I've gone back to corporate work in the UK online, selling advertising, which is something I swore I'd never do once moving to the Algarve and starting my own business. However, I've gone back to it. But my boss's brother died from COVID last Thursday. He was 61. Yeah. And I went to an online funeral on Friday. So I think that emotionally, I think that people have to take on board, as much as we are business people, we're also human. And I think people have forgotten that. And I think that, when you hear that people are in Faro hospital with dead bodies by them for 15 hours, which I know of a gentleman who's British right now in hospital, we have to take on board that we're still human beings. And these things have an effect on us as people. And personally, I think that the schools remaining open is outrageous, because I think that children should be home and safe. I have a health condition. Now I'm at liberty to send my child to school, and I don't want to, but I've got no choice, and that frightens the life out of me. I think it's going to cause people to hang out on streets, go for coffees, of people, oh, there's a mum, I'll go for a quick coffee at her house. These things will continue. So this will not end unless school close. That's
Harriet, Harriet, just to echo your point, one of the things that I've got involved in just in the last 3 or 4 months is actually a mental health startup in Lisbon called Partida da Mente. Yeah. And we haven't quite launched yet, but for this reason, and I'll give you an example. One of Portugal's major companies who I deal with, they decided at the start of all this to appoint a part-time mental health therapist, for their employees. Now, this is before COVID started. They just thought this was kind of a nice gesture and so on. Yeah. Now, out of their 3,000 employees in one plant, in the first week of COVID, this guy was bombarded with 1,000 requests. Yeah. So the level of stress that's out there has been vastly underestimated. Yeah, and it's still going on. Yeah. And listen, I count myself as one of the lucky people. Yeah. So I haven't got that much of a problem, but there's lots of people out there who really do. Yeah.
Lisa, just sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to actually just touch base with a couple of people before we finish off, just to get sort of their views or how their business or what they've done. Rebecca, from your real estate, have you done anything particular to adapt or change?
Probably not in some ways. We already would have been doing quite a lot of online anyway. So a lot of our business, we'd already implemented the 3D walkthroughs and things like that. So weirdly, we have been selling over the phone. I had a client say to me the other day, it was the most expensive bit of online shopping she'd done. So it was, but that is up to a particular price point, and I totally respect when you go into a different price point, people want to feel the walls and all of that end of things. Obviously, travel restrictions for us, because we are in quite a small area. 80% of our buyers are UK, so we can get them so far. We've got a pent-up demand, but we can only take it to a particular point where they then turn around and say, look, until we can get our feet on the ground, we're not going to do anything. So we're just continuing to push out without rubbing people's nose. We have to be very careful in our message at the moment, because we're blessed to be where we're living. There's an awful lot of people stuck in very dark and dreary places, and if we're showing lovely pictures of how fantastic the Algarve is, you have to get the message right, because you're not trying to rub their faces in it, but you're still trying to show them how lucky it is and how great they are, and why people should come down here. So yeah, it's we've just trying to keep one step ahead the whole time and try to respect the situations that people are in, really is the key.
Yeah. Well, no, that's good, and it's great. Actually, you've adapted the way that you've had to sell, which is fantastic. Tony, if I can just ask you, obviously your clubs to hire, how has it affected your business, or have you been able to do anything?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, we closed in March like everyone else, so the shops in Faro and Malaga shut and have remained shut. So we've been dealing with the airports and that, which have been, to be honest with you, they've been fine, because there was initially, oh, we need to keep paying rent, and then that all kind of went away. So, I mean, we're obviously still in communication with them. We're waiting to hear what they're saying, but obviously this thing's going to drag on till the middle of the year. In the meantime, obviously, we as a company, obviously we had to lay some staff off in Portugal. It was interesting listening to the comments earlier. We had real difficulty actually laying people off permanently, because there was all kinds of regulation around it. You can only do 1 or 2 people. So we still have a lot of people on our books, staff that work for us. And obviously the government are making some payments, but we're still paying the social security, etc. So we have that cost every month. So to generate some revenues, we sold off quite a bit of stock. So the golf club, so we just went and sold that stuff. So that's kind of, we're in a hold pattern. We're waiting. There is definitely pepped up demand. We know from clients that are speaking to us that do want to travel. So while we've had no revenues come in, we still sit with the cost of having to administer all the bookings that are in the systems and push them forward and give refunds to some clients that just don't want a voucher, et cetera, et cetera. So we've had to trade with no money coming in. And that's the first time today that I've heard of a grant being available, because we have an Irish company, Spanish company, and Portuguese company, and we've had no support from the Irish government in terms of grants or anything like that, other than the PUP payments. and we've had, you know, the support that's been given to the staff in Portugal. But I did not know there was a grant available, which I've just got onto my accountant here saying, what's going on? How come we didn't know about this? And actually, I'd be very interested in finding out if anyone could recommend a decent accounting firm down in Portugal, because the crowd we have are just useless. I mean, the fact that they didn't tell us about this is just shocking to me, you know, when there's something, I mean, 40 grand's a lot of money. That can pay a lot of bills for us down there. We're still paying, we have stuff outside of the airport there. We have to pay rent, you know, where we're storing the golf clubs and things. So we have overheads down in the Algarve, whether we like it or not, and within the business. So look,
Well,
it's been...
I think for you, and I think Rebecca's in the same position as you, because I mean, at the minute, there's just no flights from UK or Ireland coming into Portugal, and they're not until the foreseeable future. I mean, the first available flight you can fly in from Ireland or Northern Ireland or UK, they're talking about is June. So I think a lot of businesses, it was announced yesterday. Now that's not set in stone, but that's what they're talking about, because depending on the UK lockdown and obviously that side of it, but obviously you both companies or anybody in real estate, they are dependent on UK people, you know, touching down. But so obviously that.
Tony, if I can just push in, Tony, you will have to be fast on the accounting change, because there's some paperwork regarding, because you have a lot of grants you could apply to in your case. If the new grant for rent comes out today, you can get the money for your rent. You can get your 40 grand until the end of the month. And you can also apply for a simplified layoff and pay all those salaries of the people who still have on board. So, and all of this was available.
The simplified layoff, you don't have to pay the Social Security, do you?
No. That's the thing. And you still get some money, half of them. So you've been actually, due to, I don't know what, maybe you have a busy accountant, sometimes it happened, you lost quite a bit of money here. I was just, you know, in my head trying to figure out, if you look, I don't know how many employees we still have left in the Algarve, 5, 10?
We have, we had to apparently make 2 or 3 redundant. Actually, I think only 2, we were only allowed to make 2 redundant. So we still have about 5 or 6 full-time staff still on our books.
That's a lot of money, plus the 40 grand, that's a lot of money. And the rent situation, you could have deferred your rent and paid it over the next year, paying 12% each month. That's one of the things that could have happened. Anyways, what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave you my email address, and I don't usually recommend. I'm going to give you a list of 3 accountants. Just have a chat with the 3 of them. The 3 of them speak fluent English, okay? And they will, the one that gives you the best feedback, just go with them, because they will be able to do the grant paperwork for you, even if you don't change your accountant, okay?
Okay.
They will just prepare all the paperwork, everything online, and then your accountant just needs to go and check, saying everything is okay with the numbers they've given. If that's okay, you can still get the first 40 grand approved by the end of the month.
Okay, brilliant. So will you email me their details, or how will you send
definitely. What I'm going to do, I'm going to leave my email details here and my phone number. What you just do is just email me, and I'll email you back with all the things. I'm just going to write it down here so everybody can have it. Okay, just give me a second.
I'm just conscious that it's 11:33. So is anybody else anything they want to add, or anything about their business, or anything they've done? I know obviously there's one there. John, you set up a software company just before lockdown. Based on the real estate, obviously OMA Projects, which is art and design. Annabella's tourism industry, obviously that's taken a massive hit. Isabel, obviously travel industry. How do you even adapt to that, really? It's a bit like my business. But is there anything else anybody would like to add? Or Catherine, your medical tourism? Which obviously will still happen, and I know there's a massive resort being built at the minute for medical tourism. But yeah, Arnold, anything else you want to say, or?
No, I think that was really interesting, very constructive, and very solutions for everybody. So I think it was really a great session. So maybe we'll leave it here. I just want to thank you, Caroline, and Andre. Thank you very much for all this insight information. I will share information to everybody, and then you have the email from Andre. Yeah, he just put it on now.
And my phone number.
Thanks, Andre.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I say, I'll send everybody obviously the details and everything and the actual links. And all you have to do when you click on the link, obviously it will come up in Portuguese. Just hit translate to English, and the form is exact same. So just fill it in and email it. You know, use an accountant if you wish, but to be honest, you don't need to.
No, for
Okay.
the apoiar, you need to verify it on the Balcão 2020. He will need to verify it afterwards. Just verifying. You just need to put his password in and press enter.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what he'll need to do.
Yeah, and if there's anything else or any other questions you have, I mean, obviously do send them through, and we'll try to get you as much help and assistance as possible.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, great. Just want to tell you that we launched this week our Algarve Living series. So just go to www.algarveseries.com. We are launching a series of webinars really targeted to Irish citizens who wants to move to the Algarve, you know, to live and work. So have a look there. Okay, and I hope to see you all very soon in our next activities. Thank you very much and stay safe.
Yeah, Harriet, don't you switch off just a wee second.
Yeah.
But everybody else, guys, listen, thank you so much. And if there's anything else we can help you with, obviously I just put my email and phone number up there as well. Do get in touch, but by the end of the day, you'll all have the links and exactly how to get the grants and get moving on them.
Great. Thank you.
All right, take care. Stay safe. Stay home.
Yeah.
Andre, if you can just stay on 1 wee second, just to have a quick chat with Harriet.